Hi. Hi, I'm just trying to get this set up so everything's in the right place. Cool. The hope is that we're live on Facebook as well. Hi, Ray. Hi, Inga. Okay. Let me spotlight myself. There we go. Okay, perfect. Of course, feel free, have your camera off, have your camera on, however you want. I'm recording this, spotlighting myself so that hopefully it's just recording me, and if it's not, I'll cut it out as well. Okay, so let's see. I think we're on Facebook as well. Yep. Okay, cool. Looks like we're on Facebook. Perfect. Okay. Cool, we've got people coming in, so I'll just give it a couple of minutes for people coming in. I am so excited about today. We've got a lot to cover, so we'll do as much as we can, but after this, the recording will be in the Facebook group. If people have trouble accessing that, I can send it out. Yeah, no worries. Okay, cool. So, hi Melody. So exciting seeing everyone joining. Okay, and let's try, and I've got a presentation, just some notes and things to keep us on track. So let me try sharing that as well and check that does what I want it to. Cool. Okay, that looks right. Let me see, and is that still in the Facebook group? I think, yes, I believe that's still in there. Cool, hearing myself twice, let's definitely get rid of that. Okay, perfect. So I believe we can see we can see this. Right. Get to the beginning part. Don't want that to play. Okay, great. Well, hi everyone. Thank you for coming today. People might jump in and out, which is absolutely fine. We've got 3 classes today, tomorrow, and Friday. The aim is for them to be about an hour long. So if you have to hop off, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, just catch up whenever you'd like. So today, we're day 1, we're doing Who's Steering the Ship? So we're diving into the 3 essential roles that every business owner needs to understand. And then we're going to talk about how you can use those roles to manage your energy, be more efficient. Some of this stuff will feel like fundamental business stuff, but I often find that people, when they think they know something, they skip past it, right? And they're fundamentals, they're foundations for a reason. And if you don't have the foundations, that's when things start to feel a bit wobbly, the more and more you grow on top of it and the more you build on top of it. So we'll talk about those 3 roles. We're going to get clear on what roles you're in at different times in your business. And we're also going to talk about how you can more effectively balance them because they all have a place. So just to set the container up a bit in here, you are more than welcome to share some questions in the chat or share any reflections. I want this to be a really supportive space. So anyone that's in here, feel free to cheer each other on, witness each other. I would ask that you don't coach each other in here, just because this is kind of teaching and we've got exercises and things to get through. And in general, I'm not a big fan of coaching without permission. So that's kind of the container setting stuff. If anything we're sharing today does feel like things you've done before, I invite you to treat it as a review. I invite you to come with an open mind, remember why you signed up, and remember that there's always something to learn and integrate. Even if it's just hearing another person say it, it can really help it land. So, here at the beginning, I just invite you to decide that you're going to get exactly what you need from these 3 days. Now, the replays will be available in the Facebook group. I invite everyone who's not in there to head over there and get in there. I am going to be sharing some additional prompts and some fun stuff in there. The replays will be in there. And I'm going to run a little competition. So anyone who posts and engages the most in there, I'm going to be offering a chance to win like a one-on-one call with me, which we're going to call a do less, make more call. We're going to really focus in on principles from these 3 days, to help you integrate. So go in there, share, post, give any takeaways, and yeah, that will be great. So first thing I want to do is properly introduce myself, because I've actually got a huge amount of new people who've signed up for this event, which is really exciting. I know everyone in here, which is lovely, but hopefully more people will be joining and joining the replay. So my name is Kat. I'm a business coach and freedom mentor. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I have 3 businesses currently, and I've had some other businesses in the past. I currently run my 3 businesses in around 15 to 16 hours a week while I'm traveling the world. So I'm coming to you today from Mexico City. I gave up my apartment in the UK in August 2021. And so I haven't officially had a home in about a year and a half. And I think there's huge parallels between entrepreneurship and like traveling as well, because a lot of it is about self-trust and knowing that you can get up and do the thing. So I think the whole journey has been just really beautiful, and there's been a lot of expansion for me. It also takes a lot of time to travel full time, and that's one of the big things that I do with my extra time is research destinations, figure out flights. I mean, currently like I said, I'm in Mexico City. I go to a retreat on Sunday. That retreat will literally be my home for the week, and I don't have anywhere to go past then currently. So, I'm very structured in my business, and I trust it, and I need to trust it because I do fly by the seat of my pants with a lot of other stuff. So that gives you an idea of me. So I have a lot of experience in the online space, and I also have many years of business development experience outside of the online space. I've worked in different industries. I was in the tourism industry for a long time. I was in sales, business development. One of my businesses is a tiny home business. So I'm not just a coach who works with coaches. I do have a lot of experience in lots of different things. And I was a project manager for a lot of time. So that's where a lot of my structure and system background comes in as well. And some of the things I share today are going to be and over the next couple of days are going to be like project management tools, things I've learned from that as well. So right now I work with coaches, healers, and consultants who just want more time, right? Who want more freedom. Freedom is my biggest value, my biggest passion. Freedom doesn't have to look like not having a home. Freedom just can be having time to study, to immerse yourself in projects, to spend time with family, to spend time with friends. My real thing is just work-life balance. I don't think most of us got into business because we wanted to work 24/7. And so I really help people crystallize some of that stuff. So feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat if you don't know each other. And if you're watching on Facebook, like introduce yourself there and just, share a little more about yourself, because I hope everyone gets to know each other in here as well. So the 3 roles. So the 3 roles, this is one of the core things we're going to be talking about today. And they are 3 essential roles that every business owner needs to understand. When you're running a successful business, you really need to, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur or just have a couple of team members, you are likely to be embracing different roles, wearing different hats. And the goal is always, for me, is when you're wearing those different hats, to create systems and structures that continue to hold those roles for you. So you could plug and play anyone into some of those roles and still get the same results that you were doing yourself. This is a really common thing with my clients, is when you've started your business and it's your baby, it's very hard to let things go sometimes, right? And like trust other people to show up in the way that you would. So this is where great systems come in, so that you can delegate with confidence. So I'm going to go through each of these roles. As we go through, I just invite you to start thinking about how these roles exist currently in your business, and where you're spending a lot of your time, what role you're wearing. So the doer. So the doer is the role that focuses on the day-to-day tasks of getting work done. It's the serving of the clients, it's the creating, it's the selling, it's the delivering, it's the what needs to be done today, right? So the doer really strives to complete as much as possible. They're always asking, how can I get as much done in the time that I have available? Now, a lot of people that I work with and a lot of people that tend to be the kind of people who are going to show up at my events who want the question answered of how can I get more time back, they are working from the doer, which actually makes a lot of sense because most of us got into business because we had a certain skill or a passion to offer something, a desire to provide a certain service. So like my coaches, you know, they want to coach, they just want to coach, and they set up their business from a place of, well, I just want to coach. I wish people were just here for me to coach, right? And that's often the starting point. The doer also is when the issues come in is when the doer is setting up the business. Like the doer is the person setting up the business because the doer works on a model of a job, right? The doer is used to having a job or working. That's what they know, and that's how they create the business. Oh, I've just realized I should just double check that no one else is trying to get in as well. I forgot about that piece. Okay, where is my Zoom, just in case? Cool. I can keep that up. Yeah, so the doer is really the person who's used to the model of work and creates business, as in, these are the jobs I need to get done for a business to run. So they look at money as work completed. They're always trying to do things better and faster. And they're also the ones that tend to sign up for a lot of trainings because they're looking to hone their skill sets. And like, I see people laughing, like it's really important because if you want to hone your skills, you know, that's the doer in you. And like that's the doer in you. That's the person who wants to be doing the absolute best at the job that they're doing. And like, we need that to be integrity. We need that to be just to keep pushing the market and saying like, this is what we do and this is what we offer. But as I've said, it just can't be the only role you're doing in your business. Because what then happens is you get overwhelmed by or caught up in the business of running a business and you don't take time to develop the vision. You just like, it's reactive as opposed to proactive. And that proactive long-term vision, it's what's necessary for long-term success. So that's the doer. I mean, feel free to share if you're feeling specifically victimized by this already. So the next piece I am going to come on to is the manager. Oh, the manager. I've got so many windows open right now. This is the one thing about not having my own home, is not having two screens. That's my real only downside. Okay, so the manager, right? The manager is the person who focuses on achieving results through people and systems. Like a great manager knows that great systems and well looked after people make a business. So like the doer, they do focus on the present, but they look at the present to strategize for a better future for everyone involved, for the customers and clients, for the people working within the business. Like that's really where the manager shines. Now, their work is strategic and it's tactical. They are looking how we can work in the most effective way possible, not just how we can get the most done, but how we can be the most efficient. Now, I personally, like, I'm a great manager. I've always known that that's a strength of mine. And I know that that's where I sit most comfortably. So I think we all have a natural one of these roles where we sit, and the manager is a big one for me. When I started my first full-time job, I was brought in as a marketing apprentice. And at the end of my apprenticeship, I was promoted to be the manager of the whole startup because I love systems and I love structures and I love thinking, how can we do this faster and better? How can we, if we have to spend time on it now, how can we make that so we don't have to spend time every single time we do it? So I absolutely love systems. I mean, if anyone in here is into human design, I have a really strong, I have a connection between like my brain and head. So like my ideas. So when I've had human design readings, they've gone, systems. I'm like, yeah, that's me. I was actually once headhunted simply off a spreadsheet that someone had seen, because it was doing so many things and it had so many formulas, and they were like, we need you to come in and project manage the biggest project our company has ever seen. So this has always been my strength. And this is where knowing these things can really help. So when I started my business, I knew that management, like I've been a project manager, I've been an operations manager, I knew that they were my strengths. And so I started hiring really early on. I started delegating really early on. And when I did things, I created systems as I went. So everything I did, I turned into a template straight away. I turned into SOPs before I even fully had the words for what SOPs were. And if you don't know what an SOP is, that's the standard operating procedure. So it's basically a checklist of how to do specific systems. So that's always where I've naturally fallen. And I think that's been a real strength in my business, because I didn't try and fight against the fact that that's some of the things I really like to do. I'm just going to check on this is where I need a lot of help. Yeah, a lot of people do, which is why a lot of people hire me, because not many people could confidently say, I absolutely adore spreadsheets. And that's something that I'm really leaning into as one of my superpowers. So yeah, a lot of people do lean into Doer. A lot of people need a lot of help with the manager piece. So yeah, seeing all those. Okay. So the final role that we're looking at today is called the visionary. So the visionary, you might also call this the CEO, like being in CEO energy. This is that entrepreneur mindset. Melody's already sure that she leans into visionary. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us, like, we've got into entrepreneurship for a reason. I always think of the visionary as the person who, like, everyone's like, pitches ideas to them because they know they just love the idea of creating businesses. They love finding opportunities. So like the visionary basically defines the vision of the business that they're in. They have a clear and focused understanding of like where the company's at, and then where they need to get to close the gap and get to that desired future state. So this is really big picture thinking is really significant for the visionary, and they need to allocate time to dreaming big, to focusing on the future, and to really developing a vision for the business that meets their goals and needs and their customers, right? They don't work in a silo. It's not just about them. It's about, how do I bring something into the world that's going to help the people or provide something for people that they want and need, so that this works for everyone, right? So this is, I would think of this as like the Gary V energy, if anyone knows who Gary V is. I think of it as like Tony Robbins. I don't know if people have seen, there's like a Beyonce reel going around where she's like, keep your eye on your intention. Don't let any outside distractions or your own insecurities stop you from your goal. So for me, this visionary role is really the one that really brings businesses to life. Very visionary, and then some of the doer. Yeah. And like we all have blends of both of them. Like I also come up with business ideas all the time. and I just have to be like, no, I'm doing this thing. But I can see like a lot of ideas all the time in the world and things that would be good. So this is it's just a really great role, and it's one that we all need to lean into to really take our businesses to the next level. Yeah, so like this is the voice that tells you to get into action, to create change. And I do notice that in our society, this role is often portrayed as very masculine. So like I mentioned Gary V, I mentioned Tony Robbins. It's that get it, hustle, discipline is kind of how this is shown in society. I'm just going to read the comments. Yes, I'm the visionary and then some will do it. Yeah, I need to let manage energy though, because I get so overwhelmed and not having a strength there. Yeah, exactly. Like there really needs to be a balance of all of these. And there needs to be, and hopefully some of the stuff today will be helpful, but then there's also needs to be a balance within the visionary as well. So whereas I think of it as like, when I think of visionary, I do think of those like YouTube motivational speeches that are like, go out, get it. Why are you sitting down when there's work to be done? And that's not what I think of as a true visionary energy. I think of the visionary as a balance between the feminine and masculine energies, because that's where it's truly the most successful. So that's where the visionary is taking aspects of both. It's harnessing that feminine life force, creation, Shakti energy. And then it's also harnessing that doing and action-orientated masculine energy that can hold it. It's that will and clarity and focus of the masculine and the structure, but it needs both. It needs that creativity, it needs that life, and it needs a structure to bring it to life as well. I lean into visionary, just reading some comments. I lean into visionary, but think it ends up being led by the doer's priorities, thinking that the manager might help shift this a bit. Yeah, exactly. So I find a lot of people, like they obviously have started a business, so they've got that visionary in them, but then they fall back on the doer. Like, this is the model that I know. I know how to work, so I'm just going to work and I'm going to keep working. And they get away from that big vision that they have. And it gets somewhere lost along the way because they're just dealing with the things that come at them. So super common, just want to really normalize that. Okay, so as I've been saying, like it's common and it's really necessary to bounce between each of these roles in our business. But the most frequent issue is spending a lot of time in that doer and, you know, ignoring the visionary or ignoring the manager who's going to help bring that visionary's vision to life. So the manager is like, how to create processes and structures that we can align with that big vision so the doer can follow them, because the doer just likes to do, right? So this is about, you know, how do we work on the business and manage our time to work on the business as well as working in it? And to truly succeed, we need to balance these three things: to be profitable, to survive as well, and to be able to grow, to be able to scale. So one of the things that I think is really important to talk about here is like the energy management in each of these roles, and being really aware of like where, when, and how you are at your best, and how you're at your best in each of these roles. So to share some examples, for me, it's best for me to block out time to do like CEO visionary activities first thing in the morning, because as soon as I go into social media, I start taking in other people's content, or I open my client messages, or I check my email, my inner doer starts doing. It's like, cool, we need to reply to that person, and we need to remember about that thing, and we need to reply to this, and we need to remember to sign up to that, and have we created this in time? So this is where knowing ourselves and also like time blocking, I think is important. Now, I felt like I should talk about time blocking because this is about productivity. I'm not a big fan of time blocking hugely in advance. Like, that doesn't really work for me. If I try and time block my whole week out, that's not going to work for me. I'm never going to stick to it. And there's a part of there's an inner rebel that fights against having a full day of things that are scheduled in to do. So I don't time block in a traditional way, but I more time block as in like, I know that I'm going to do CEO stuff first thing in the morning. And no matter when I start my day, that's when I start my clock on my CEO time. I'm like, cool, I'm going to spend an hour here doing the visionary stuff, right? So some of this will look like mindset work, because the CEO really does need to manage that energy. It might look like, like future journaling, like thinking about where we're headed in the business, and just every day getting back into aligning the big vision with the little things that we need to do. The other thing I like to do personally is I like to bookend my day with manager tasks, right? So I do my CEO visionary time. If I'm doing my perfect day, I do, which no one's perfect, no one remembers to do all these things all the time. But if I've done my CEO stuff, then I can bring out the manager and I can be like, cool, this is what we want to achieve this month. Like, what 3 tasks? And I work a lot with something called the big 3. I'll explain the big 3 briefly. So the big 3 is the idea of just choosing 3 big things for different amounts of time. So I might choose, like, what are the big 3 tasks I want to complete this week? What are the big 3 tasks I need to do today? And I'm going to talk about this idea throughout as well. So I know I'm coming at you with a lot of information. There will be time to integrate. I'm going to keep sharing. I'm kind of planting the seeds now, and this will continue on for the next 3 days, and like we'll integrate it more. But with my when I'm in my manager, I bookend my day. So I think at the beginning, like, what 3 tasks would make this feel like a successful day if they got completed? And then I also think at the end of the day, like, what are those things I didn't get to? What really needs to be done tomorrow? And so I'm always thinking about how these bigger tasks get done, as well as the actual day-to-day tasks that come with running my business. The other thing that's really important to me when managing my energy, managing these different roles, is I call it a wind up, wind down ritual. So this is how I both get ready for my day, but it's also, and where I think it's most important, is how I wind down at the end of the day. So, I mean, often, like, my visionary or my manager could be like, it just keeps going, right? Like, my visionary always has ideas. There's always things to be done. My manager's always thinking like, oh, this task and this task, like, this process needs to be created. My doer is thinking, what do I need to do next? What work is most important? So I really encourage all of my clients to have what I call like a wind down ritual. And this, especially if you're working from home, if you don't have a great delineation of space and of time, this is about, thinking about those roles and actively stepping out of them into our individuality and leaving the business roles where they are, right? Like, leaving them in your computer. I kind of think about it, leaving it at your desk. And this is simple stuff. So mine is as simple as, like, I currently work right now. I don't have a specific desk. My desk is also my kitchen table. It changes because I change apartments monthly, but right now it's my kitchen table. So at the end of every single day, I close down my laptop, I clear all my tabs out, and I kind of think of this as a mental visualization of closing those tabs out as well. And then I close my laptop, I put it away in a drawer, I wipe down the table, and I light a candle that I only use for non-work times, right? So these are just cues that I use to tell my brain that it's time to switch off from all of those roles and get back to just having a life, right? Which is always important. And this might sound simple, but it's really important, because getting time off from your business, even mentally time off from your business, will make you so much more productive in all the other areas as well. So if you don't do anything like this, I really encourage you to think, like, what would feel like a nice wind down ritual to me? How can I leave the business where it is? Especially if you work from home, because it just doesn't work if we're, like, when I was working in a job, I physically left the building, but I can't do that here. And when I'm sitting in my evenings, I can see what is my workspace during the day. So, like, that just really helps me clear out those different things. Just gonna check comments on here. A workhorse, I love that. Cool. Let's just check on Facebook or anyone trying to get in. Great, so perfect. I think we can see me in Facebook. I can't see if there's any comments or anything, but I'll get to them. I'll get to them all eventually. Yeah, great. So the other thing like the other exercise that I want to talk about that I think is really good when thinking about these roles is thinking about this as an energy game. So there's different energy as the doer, there's different energy as the visionary. And, you know, one of the things that you can do is actually literally create names for these different roles. So if, you know, if you hate admin tasks, like create a character who loves admin tasks and like actively step into that character. When I first started my business, like I didn't have anyone doing the admin. I didn't have anyone replying to clients. So I made someone and like I made someone up and I actually communicated to clients as this person. I fully stepped into that role and I was like, hi, I'm this person. And that's how I operated. And it really helped me be like, this is who I am when I'm doing this role. You don't have to create a character. I just think it's fun. But it did make boring tasks go better. And it also was more efficient. Because the thing is, when we are focused on one task and not jumping around in lots of different tasks, and this is why time blocking works, when we're focused on one thing or one group of things that are in the same type of things like admin tasks or customer management, our brain actually gets faster at doing them because there's no decision fatigue. There's no like, oh, what am I doing now? There's no jumping around. So this is where I'm like, cool, I spend my Friday mornings being Sarah the admin girl sometimes. And like, that's okay, right? Like, that's what my business needs. My manager comes in and creates systems that then means I can actually hand those things on to other people. And that's always been a really smooth transition for me, bringing team members in, because I've done their role. I know exactly what it's like to do their role. I know what time it should take. I know how to do it. And I've got a clear system and structure for them to do it as well. The other thing with this is just making those boring tasks, the tasks that don't align with your natural role, as pleasurable as possible. So one of the ideas that I see people use a lot is money dates, right? So this is tricking your brain into doing the finance and the admin of like, yeah, all the finance stuff. Like I hate doing that. So taking myself out to a nice cafe to do like my budgeting, to do my cash flow, that feels much nicer to me. And I know that I'm in that role. I know that that's what I'm there to do. I often go to like really nice cafes when I've got, or even hotel lobbies, like really bougie ones, when I've got things that I really don't want to get done. And I'm like, I'm here in this role to do this task. This is my office today. And like, doesn't it get to feel nice while I do it as well? So that's a ton of ideas. Like everyone's going to get access to this, and I'll put some extra notes in as well. But that's just some of the core ideas of like how you can manage these roles and how you can make them work for you. So I'm going to invite everyone to do a bit of an exercise now. I've been talking for a while, so you can just shake it off as well. And like, I'll talk through the exercise now. You can choose whether you want to do it now or not. But I'm going to talk through it. You can do it as homework. You can share in the Facebook group, whatever feels good. But the exercise is really helping you start getting your brain around these roles and which roles you're spending the majority of your time in. So the first part of the exercise is doing a brain dump of all the tasks you've done in your business in the last week. And I will also share this, but I've made a little spreadsheet, of course. And let me share that. And like, it's super simple. But I think everyone can see the spreadsheet. Yeah, great. So this is just how my brain works, right? I work best spreadsheets, columns, but you can also just get a journal out and like write all these out. But I would start writing down my different tasks. So like I'll do things, I had some help with some of these things, but I'll do it as if I've done them all for the purpose of this exercise. So like setting up reminder emails with with the Zoom links for this event. With Zoom links, right? That's one. Writing content to promote the event. Posting on my Facebook page. And Instagram profile, right? What else have we done? Oh, I've like checked in with my one-on-one clients, checked in with clients. I've done client calls. I have engaged in Facebook groups, right? So I would really encourage you to spend time like really putting all of these in. I'm just going to do a few to show us. And then the next step of this is like, what role is these things? Were these things? So like setting up reminder emails, like clearly a doer role, right? Writing content to promote the event. I mean, this is a trickier one. Like I actually think I write when I'm in visionary energy a lot, because I'm trying to invite people into the vision of what my business is. So that to me, I count it as a visionary task. If I count it as a really creative task, and I love writing. So like that feels good to me, that to put it in the visionary. For some of you, it might feel like an absolute slog to write content. And in which case I would say you're probably doing that as your doer, right? As this is something that needs to get done. I would invite you to think about trying to shift that if that's the case, and think about how you can fall in love with that. But, you know, so, and like, that's what I mean. Like some tasks won't be exactly the same. Even if it's the same task, it might not be the same for you as it would be for someone else. So it's a very personal thing as well. So posting on my Facebook page, that's my doer. Checking in with my clients, that's I would call that doer as well, because it's something that I have to do for my business to run. It does not say I don't enjoy it, because a lot of us enjoy the doing work in our business, but it's a doer thing, because I like have to do it for my business to run. Client calls, doer. Engaged in Facebook group, doer. So like you can see how easy it is to be in doer energy for like the majority of our time. You know, I have future journaled each morning. So that is my visionary. I have I created templates of all the reminder emails, and I put them into a workflow that I can repeat. So like email workflows, like that's a manager thing, right? Like, so like, right. So just brain dump it out. And then the other thing that I would say, once you've done all the tasks that you've actually done, is start thinking about the tasks that you have wanted to get to or keep meaning to get to, but haven't got to, right? And I actually find very often these are manager tasks. And this is what people, they skip doing the manager tasks. So like I've set up a whole, this is my first, you know, turn on conversion event where I've done like 3 full days, or will hopefully do 3 full days of sharing. So I need to create processes around like how I'm running this turn on event. I already have those because I work with a lot of clients. So like I have a lot of templates for these things. But if I didn't, I would be saying, okay, I want to spend a couple of hours at the end of this week and just make processes for every single thing I've done in the lead up to this event, so that like I can delegate some of them as I continue to grow. Check on comments. Catch replay. Brilliant, Ray. Thanks so much for coming. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so we're getting down all of our tasks. Then we're focusing on the things that we haven't got to yet, and then we're thinking about them as manager or doer. So like, that's the exercise I really encourage you all to do and share around. I'm going to share back on this. Now, and I've just put in a reminder of the core of each of these roles as well. So this is like a cheat sheet. Like once you write down your different tasks, you can come in and be like, if there's any confusion about what it is, you can come back and be like, what is the core of this? So the visionary is always focused on energy management, mindset, visioning, emotional regulation, boundaries, like That's what I think of as the core of the visionary. The manager is focused on those processes, systems, structures to support the vision. And it's focused on the customers and the doers in the business. Like, how can we look after them? How can we make this as smooth and enjoyable for everyone who's coming into contact with this business? And then the doer, focusing on that day-to-day work of doing. So these are the exercises. I'm just going to check on comments. Cool. So I'm going to quickly talk, and I realize there's a lot of information. I'm going to quickly talk about a principle, which I'm sure most of you have heard. But as we're starting to write down all these tasks, I just want to introduce this principle as well. So this is Pareto's principle. It's also known as the 80-20 rule. So this is a principle that was developed that maintains the idea that 80% of outcomes come from 20% of causes. So people often use it in business to point out, and it's been proved again and again, that like 80% of a company's revenue is generated by 20% of its customers. This is often the case with tasks as well. Like 20% of our tasks are often the ones that create like 80% of results. So these are the ones that are actually making you money and are moving your business forward. So if I just take us quickly back to that spreadsheet, and I'll send it out by email afterwards, this is where this question of, is this moving my business forward, comes in. Like, when we look at these tasks, does this task actually make me money? Like, does it have the potential to make me money? Is it doing, not just money, like, is it bringing people in? Is it getting me in front of more people? So like, for example, setting up the reminder emails with Zoom links, I mean, it's important, but it's not moving my business forward. It doesn't need me to be doing it. So like, I would say no, I would put that in the 80% of tasks that like I don't need to be. I personally don't need to be involved in, even though I still think it needs to get done. Now, writing content to promote my event, like, yes, that's moving my business forward. Every single time I post, I got people to sign up to this event. It's also my mindset. You heard the affirmation just rolled off my tongue there. Every time I post, I get more people into my business. But like, that's a fact, mostly. So posting on my Facebook page and business profile, yes, it needs to happen, doesn't necessarily need me to do it. So like, we start sorting these things out. Checking in with clients, like, yeah, that is moving my business forward, because actually where I'm making the most money is the people who are already paying me. People continue to pay with me. People continue to sign up with me. So serving them, like 100% should have a lot of my energy and focus. So yeah, just wanted to add that piece in, and then I'll come back. And like, let me know, I assume most people have heard of this principle, but like, let me know if you have, let me know if you've had this explained to you, or if you think about this when you're going through your day. But yeah, it's just that idea that 20% of your efforts are actually the thing that has the most success with most of what you're doing. And so the final piece, and honestly, the final piece we're going to cover today relates to all these things. And this is just a tool that I use a lot when trying to sort out. And I think it works in line with the Pareto principle, but it's called the urgent and important matrix. Now, I think this is from Covey's Highly Effective People book. I haven't actually read it, but I've been using this tool with my teams for years and years. And I often use it when I'm starting to feel a bit overwhelmed in my business. So I will do what I've done today. I will like brain dump everything that I feel needs to get done. And then I'll start sorting them into these different quadrants. And I have a worksheet for this, which I'll be sending out. But this is how do we prioritize our tasks and make the most of our time and like actually be efficient and effective with this. So I think of this as a management tool. Like, the visionary might dump out all the ideas, And then the manager comes in and says, well, what actually needs to be done here? And then starts to delegate, right? Delegate to the doer, delegate to, because eventually you'll have other doers in your business, or you may already have other doers in your business. Like your VA is a doer within your business. So the urgent important matrix, again, let me know if you use this, if you've like tried this out before, if you've heard of this. But once we've got all of those tools dumped out, we start putting them in the different quadrants. So the urgent and important stuff is stuff that like really does need to get done right away. There's no choice, like it just has to happen. Doesn't always, these tasks have to get done, but it doesn't always mean that they're moving our business forward. So it's important to remember that, but they are urgent and important. Like me checking over my tax document that my bookkeeper has prepared and signing it, like, is an urgent and important task. It doesn't move my business forward, but it also has a chance to close my business down. So it's urgent and important. So that is quadrant one. Our next quadrant is the not urgent and important. So over here, we have the not urgent and important. Now, there's a real tendency to just keep pushing these tasks back, but the not urgent and important tasks are often the manager tasks and like the visionary tasks, right? Like the urgent and important are done by our doer, the not urgent and important get pushed to the side, but they are the things that actually grow the business, allow us to scale. They are putting the systems in place, putting the structures, putting in SOPs, creating a vision and checking in that we are aligning with the vision. You know, and this can really help with things like shiny object syndrome as well. Like if you are someone who jumps around with ideas of what you're offering, and if you're, so like a good example that I have had in the past quite often with clients is, you know, they're like really focused on getting a group course out there. But when we get back to what their core vision is right now, like their vision might be to quit their job or let go of other freelance projects that aren't their current business. And actually creating a group program takes a lot of time, right? Like it takes a lot of time. You have to sell to a lot more people. The fastest way to get out of your current job or business, if that's your goal, is often selling one-on-one, because you might only need to sell like 5 one-on-one spots to replace your current salary, right? And like if you're selling them on a 6-month package and then you have a process in place for getting those clients in, that's going to be the most effective thing. So so that's why like this future visioning and like going back to what we want in our business is really important. And I'll admit, like I drag my heels on this stuff just like everyone else. Like I have been talking, so I'm going to announce this more officially at some point, but I've been talking about running a mastermind for a year now, and I have never, like, and because that really aligns with my vision, like I want to support as many people as possible in as least time as possible, right? As efficiently and effectively as possible, so that I can also live my life. Now, I fall back on the doer stuff, which is the easiest stuff for me, is like selling one-on-ones. I continue to fall back on that. And that happens, when that happens, I'm not doing my important but not urgent tasks of like focusing in on the vision, seeing like what that looks like and where I want to get to. And like, I'm just doing the things that I know how to do. So yeah, and there's another piece of this, like with the visionary stuff, is like facing our fears as well, like finding, you know, fear journaling, like finding out what's the blocks that are stopping us from doing the thing that we really want to do as well. So that's again where a lot of this like mindset or embodiment work comes in, of just being like, this is my vision, what's stopping me, like what's actually stopping me from like time constraints, blah blah blah, but what's stopping me in my brain as well from doing it. Like for me, visibility is always the thing, like getting in front of more people is something I know I need to do but put off. Right? So yeah, just hopefully the examples help lock this in a little bit more. The third quadrant that we have is the urgent but not important. So this is stuff that really wastes your time. This is stuff where it's urgent, like other people are putting urgency energy into it or putting urgency onto you, but it's not actually important for you or your business. This is where, you know, you've got someone who keeps emailing and you like need to reply, you feel like you need to reply to them, but like they're not actually a client, they have no intention of buying, they're trying to get something from you. Like that's might feel urgent, but it's not important. And with things in this quadrant, like this is where we delegate if we can. So this is where we delegate to team members, or we delegate to our doer role that just does those tasks for 2 hours on a Friday morning, but it shouldn't waste your time in other days, right? It should be like, cool, I'm putting that in my urgent but not important quadrant, and I will tackle these tasks once a week. And not waste time on them the rest of the time and not waste energy and thought space on them. And then the final quadrant is this one. So this is the not urgent and not important. Don't do them, right? Like any tasks that are coming up that you were like, well, it's not actually urgent and it's not actually important, don't do it. Like, just take it off your plate completely, like get it off your desk. If you really, like if it's something that feels like it really does actually need to get done, delegate it if you can. But generally things in this bucket, again, their time sucks. They're wasting your time. They're not urgent. They're not important to your business growth. And like you can also use this for your life as well. If it's just not urgent and not important, just get rid of it. Like, there's something really freeing about just being like, I'm getting it out, right? So yeah, I've got a little slide to help explain those things. So yeah, that's basically what I have just explained. Yeah, these tasks are wasting your time and simply should be eliminated. Great. So that is that's all of our information for today. I think that's more than enough. I mean, we have an extra 5 minutes, so if anyone has any questions about anything we've covered today, like feel free to ask them now. But otherwise, yeah, we'll see you for day 2. I'll wait a minute and see if there's anything anyone wants to ask about. I really hope this has been helpful. And like I said, like these principles, we're gonna weave them in over the next few days. And we're going to really land them. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about tools that like can support you in these things as well. Like tools really that I use in manager energy as well. So yeah, very helpful. Great. I'm so glad. So yeah, like I really encourage you to have a go at this exercise. I'm going to be sending this stuff out. And feel free to share like some insights that come from it. So have you realized that you're actually spending like 90% of your time in doer energy? Like, have you noticed that a lot of your time is going to like not urgent and not important tasks, or urgent but not important tasks? Like, and how can we put ourselves more in those different quadrants as well? So I will just quickly check the Facebook. Perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you tomorrow. And thank you for sticking with me. And yeah, I will speak to you all very soon.